So we all know that Insomniac Games was acquired by PlayStation Studios back in 2018 and is now a first-party game developer under their umbrella. Because of that fact, I feel like there's a semblance of synergy that you can feel when it comes to the direction and the storytelling set pieces when we get these Sony exclusives. And sometimes you can even catch hidden Easter eggs and details that are subtle nods to their respective colleague studios. So in this video, I'm going to be going over 3 PlayStation Studio Easter eggs that you might have missed while playing Marvel Spider-Man 2. The way this is gonna go, we're gonna start with what I thought was the most obvious and work our way down to what it took me a little bit of time to figure out what seemed familiar about the last one. Not gonna waste any time, we're gonna jump right into it, and to start us off, we're gonna be talking about the MJ missions. I know, the dreaded MJ missions. A lot of people really don't like those. I personally don't mind them. They're a decent change of pace, and they never really seem to last too long. They don't overstay their welcome as far as my playthrough is concerned. But the MJ missions obviously have a big focus on stealth. You're taking down different ones of Kraven's hunters, and her missions actually evolve as you move further in the game. Between taking out Kraven's hunters to eventually having a stun gun with a shootable projectile when it's all said and done, MJ missions gave third-person shooter homage to titles like Uncharted or The Last of Us from Naughty Dog. But the level that most made me feel like we had dropped right into a suspenseful climax of The Last of Us was when we had Miles seal us inside of a subway tunnel with a sleeping Peter being controlled by an enraged symbiote. This is a double whammy too, because MJ's actress for Spider-Man also was the voice of Abby in The Last of Us Part 2. Would love to know if she felt like that whole sequence seemed similar. Up next, we got the portal sequence that we went through with Miles chasing Black Cat. Of course, if you're paying attention, this was straight ripped from Ratchet & Clank Rift Apart, which is also developed by Insomniac, but it's a different team than the one that works on Marvel Spider-Man 2. This was actually confirmed by Brian Intihar in the Kinda Funny and GameSpot spoiler cast that he was interviewed in following the release of Marvel Spider-Man 2. They came out roughly about a week after the game had been out.
I feel like one moment that I haven't talked to anybody about that completely blew my mind and I didn't know how it was happening and I was just thrilled was the Black Cat fight.
Yep. Yeah. I was waiting for you guys to bring that up.
Zipping around through the portals, like that is the
Even
power.
By the way, where do you think we got that idea from? Portals and that was Ratchet.
Oh, I was going to say the Spider-Man comic about magic.
I was like, that's
magic exists.
That's Ratchet. I mean, like we saw what they were doing. We're like, we have to take advantage of that.
I thought that this sequence was so cool. It was Insomniac yet again showing off the power of the SSD. Also taking the opportunity to bring us somewhere outside of New York, which is super funny because of how many fans complain of like, oh, this Spider-Man game's not innovative. We're still in New York City. All they did was make the map bigger. Yeah, because that's where Spider-Man is. He's typically in New York. He doesn't really go other places unless it's for like team ups or for MCU movies. But yeah, I actually like how Brian said that they had to take a chance to bring us somewhere just drastic outside of the city. I think he said that he told the team just like do something surprising and they basically took us to Antarctica. I don't know about you, it also gave me some real hope and excitement that we could maybe get a Doctor Strange game at some point. I don't know if Insomniac wants to do that. Not sure if they want to become the Marvel shop when it comes to video games, but yeah, nonetheless, I thought that they did really well. The nod to Wong and Doctor Strange at the end with the note just made me think, ooh, they could do a game for him. This is a proof of concept we're seeing right here. Now the last one, and there are heavy spoilers ahead. So if you have not completed Marvel Spider-Man 2 or you haven't played it, maybe you're not getting a PlayStation 5 or the game until Christmas time, or perhaps you're waiting for the PC port, but you still want to be surprised and you're trying to avoid knowing anything about it, please just be sure to hit the like button on the video, help get this to more viewers, subscribe to the channel for future Spider-Man videos. We're going to be covering Wolverine, talking about Suicide Squad, Kill the Justice League, all types of games coming out in 2024. Please stay tuned and make sure you don't miss future videos. With that out the way, for those of us who have completed the game, we all know there's a section of the story where we get to play as the monstrous Venom. He charges like Rhino, unleashes devastating tendril attacks, and has some brutal takedown finishers. I mean, some of them literally dropped my jaw. Like I was not prepared. It was crazy. I really felt like Insomniac was definitely pushing the envelope with some of them on that teen rating. Now, because Venom is so big, all 19 inches, He does not actually dodge attacks. Pressing circle or L1, he performs a parry. This is typically used against projectiles to redirect them back at your enemies. But I noticed that when you parry physical attacks, that there's a specific animation that looked very familiar. Venom basically brings up a symbiote tendril shield and then just kind of deflects whatever was thrown at him, like up in the air, and you kind of stagger your opponent with it. You see right there, what it is that is the exact same parry animation from Sony Santa Monica's God of War 2018 and God of War Ragnarok. I'm not sure if this was intentional. It really did make me think, is it possible that PlayStation Studios has a little bit of cross collaboration with their studios? Or did Insomniac decide to do this just as like a little nod? They were like, who would Venom kind of play like? Oh, well, he'd be, you know, big and powerful and devastating. So let's give him moves and actions that would be very similar to Kratos. Now, those are just 3, but I'm sure that there are probably more, maybe even Easter eggs in the collectibles. I've not 100% of the game at the time of making this video, so I'm not entirely sure. But if you know of any other ones, please let me know down in the comments below. I'm so stoked that you watched this far because I've got more videos for Marvel Spider-Man 2 coming. But until then, if you haven't gotten your hands on the game, you're still on the fence on whether or not you're gonna buy it or wait for it to go on sale, or possibly wait for the PC port like I mentioned earlier, click the card on the screen and you can check out my thoughts on Marvel Spider-Man 2 at first glance. Hopefully that'll give you an idea on whether or not the game is worth the hype, and if you absolutely cannot wait to play it, or if you find it okay to hold off for right now. Appreciate you for watching this far, and I will catch you in a future video. Peace out.